you can hoard all that knowledge, you can hoard all that experience. It doesn't do anything for anyone. We're here to help people. And if I hoard all that, I'm not helping anyone. I want to help these kids so they can help other people. So if I can give them that experience to make them feel like family, to be hospitable, to not be frustrated with them. And then that way, when they get older and they teach people, hopefully they'll remember people like us and go, yeah, man, that guy Goldstein, he was super patient with me.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. Tailboard Misfits podcast. Today, I'm talking with Mike Goldstein. He's 45 years old, currently a firefighter and EMT on the Derry Fire Department in New Hampshire. He's been in the fire service for 12 years, and he's also a staff instructor for the New Hampshire Fire Academy. He's been married for 15 years, and he has two twin 14-year-old daughters. He currently volunteers for the New Hampshire Emergency Services Explorer Training Academy, where he's on the board of directors, and he also serves as the chief of operations for the program. Mike, brother, how's it going?
That's a long name for that organization.
Well, thanks for hopping on here as early as we did. I appreciate it because it makes good talk, especially with coffee going and everything like that. Yeah, sometimes with different time zones, we have to make stuff happen. And I'm an early bird as it is, so it's not a big deal to me.
I don't sleep past 7.
I've been getting all the old jokes in with all my friends as much as I can because I turned 30 this year. So I feel like I have a few more months left. Once I turn 30, I don't think I can talk crap anymore.
Once you get to like 40, then you feel it in your knees and you start feeling it in some other part. So you got some time to go.
Fair enough. So the Explorer Academy, man, you play a big role in that. I know you and I have talked briefly about it in the past, and it's coming up here pretty quick for you guys up there. Tell us what that's about. I know there's some Explorer programs down here in certain areas, but there's not like a large one. There's not one that I really know of that's a significant one. So I'm kind of curious on what that looks like and what you guys got going.
You having me on and let me talk about this. This is my second year doing this program. So we take all the explorers from around the state and some of the explorers that are actually out of state too. So we call them cadets or explorers, and they're posts from all the different regions of the state, the explorer posts. They're usually under the umbrella of the Boy Scouts of America. That's how they get sanctioned, or that's how they get their charters, if you will. And there's also junior firefighters. So we take all those explorers who want to do it from 14 years old to 18 years old, and then they come up to us, the Explorer Academy, and everything that they've learned over the past year from their different posts, we put it all together for them and give them more advanced training. So they get to put everything that they got to do in their departments, and they get to do it together, but in a bigger form. So we have 55 plus kids that come in, and these aren't just kids from New Hampshire either. These are kids from Maryland, Connecticut. Last year was the first time we actually put it back up because it was on a hiatus from COVID and everything else. So it was not going on for a few years. And then a gentleman by the name of Mike McGinn, who he was an explorer, he missed it a lot, and that was a big part of his youth. So he started it back up. And then he reached out to anybody who was an instructor. He put out a post saying, looking for help. And so he brought it. He's the one who actually really made this come a reality again. It used to be a very popular organization or academy for years and years. Every year they had the Explorer Academy. I don't have the background of that. I've never did Explorers. I never was part of the Explorer Academy. So last year was my first year to actually be really, I just jumped right in head first into this whole program. And I got to tell you, it was a great experience. After it was all done, packed things up, kids are gone from the academy. It was like an awakening. I felt so energized. So the kids get to be a part of the whole fire program, if you will, for a week at the New Hampshire Fire Academy. So we have an academy in Concord, New Hampshire, where anybody who wants to do EMS and fire training, they go to the New Hampshire Fire Academy. And then that's where they get all those programs involved. And it's not, we have confined space, we have trench rescue, we have officer development courses. So we actually have a fire station at the academy and dorm rooms and dry labs. So the kids get to see all of that. And it's a really big campus. We have burn buildings. We have a live fire prop. We have a car fire prop. We have a propane gas fed building. So we have a lot of area to cover for these kids, and they get to see everything. So we have to develop the curriculum though to give them for a week. And so we spend, man, as soon as it ends, as soon as that week is over, we don't stop. Like as soon as that week's over, we go back to the drawing board and we try to develop another plan to build upon what we just did and make it even better. So as soon as last year was over, we started planning again, making sure we're just fine tuning everything we can. Who can we get for key speakers? Who can we get for guest speakers? Guest instructors who can, it's just, it keeps going. It doesn't stop. And we love the feedback from the kids, and we have a lot of returning cadets. So last year proved to be really, really good, considering it was the first year back after many years. And I love talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's super cool because you grab these kids young, right, and get them while they're super. I just like before they get into any of the other stuff, right? And I don't know, like as you grow up, and so they're getting. Honestly, I know we talked about some of the guys that you have coming down this year. You get them exposed to some of these firemen, and it sounds like. And I'm kind of curious. Are you guys like handcuffed by any of the fire academy stuff? Or are you guys getting to teach some more like stuff that we would get at the conferences?
We're not handcuffed by curriculum.
Okay.
We do have a standard, and we do have staff instructors, state instructors that are helping to teach these kids. So I love teaching. That's like my huge passion is teaching. I love spreading the knowledge that I get from going to conferences, and whether I'm reading or taking knowledge from everybody I can get. I love teaching, whether adults or kids. So we have the staff instructors who are actual certified instructors that come in who have the same passion. So they do teach what they've already been teaching at the academy, but they don't have to check those boxes,
Sure.
which is really cool, right? So you go to your standard academy, sometimes it is that standard kind of boring. I got to check the box, so we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it that way. With this, the instructors actually do have free range. So if they want to do nozzle forward teaching to these kids, they can do that. If we have Adam Mills that comes in and does fast forward rescue with them and teaches his form of RIT, and that's obviously not a curriculum in the academy. So we let them have full range. Along, of course, we keep safety guidelines in check, but we don't have to be chained to that curriculum, which is fantastic because we have the faith in these instructors that are coming in that they're not talking out of their ass. I'll be frank, right? So you can tell who knows their stuff and you can tell who doesn't. So I don't have to babysit these instructors and worry that they're teaching them stuff that's not right. So we have these instructors that we can just go, hey, teach these kids what you know and make it fun. And they do that. Like they just go full bore with them. And these kids are smart, right? So kids know when someone doesn't know something. So we have instructors who know it all. So what's nice is the academy lets us use the grounds. We're all safety oriented, but it's not that they have to sit. They're not saying you have to teach them by the book because they're not getting a certification. So they don't have to. We don't have to worry about having to be chained to that book.
Yeah, and I think it's super cool that the kids and I'm like the whole state fire academy thing. Like we don't have that in Texas. Like I think there's probably 3 fire academies within an hour drive of me, like right now. And so like same thing if you talked about like EMS schools, there's more than that within an hour drive of me.
And so we have a private, and then we have the New Hampshire Fire Academy that also teaches that curriculum as well. It's weird. Like every state's so weird, man, with how they get firefighters to be certified, right? So like in New Hampshire, you have to have everything, then apply to a fire department. Massachusetts, you take the civil service exam, you get hired, then they send you to the academy. You pass the academy, then you go in, right? So for us, it's a little bit backwards where you have to get your fire certs, and you have to get your EMS certs, you have to get your CPAT, all that before you can usually get hired. But so these kids get to learn all about that. So we also have a community college in the Lakes region. It's called Lakes Region Community College. With the Explorer Academy, we do field trips to teach these kids or to show them that, hey, there's another step to go after high school. So we want to promote college. We want to promote learning as well. That, hey, outside of high school, once you finish, keep going if you love the fire service. So we bring them to it's called LRCC for short, and we bring them up there for a field trip. The older kids, usually the ones who are like 16 to 18, and they do a field trip up there so they can learn about the fire service, the fire program, where they can get a degree in the whole curriculum, and then they get the whole tour of the college. And the ones who are younger, we'll bring them up to the Lakes Region Fire Dispatch, and as well, right next door to that is the 911 Center in Laconia, New Hampshire. So each group of kids get to have experience. Like, hey, there's careers. Once you get old enough, you can explore these different options. You can get your degree in that fire background, and then here's all these other fields you can do once you graduate. Whether you want to be a firefighter, a EMT paramedic, or if you want to be a dispatcher, we teach them all of it because there's so many aspects in this field, right? Like, it's not just firefighters, right? We do have paramedics who are paramedics. We do have dispatchers who serve a major purpose. That's actually the background that I came from. I started as a dispatcher. I actually still do it part-time. So I love to bring in that culture of communications with these kids. So sometimes, I mean, there's kids that love radios. I love radios. We all love radios, right? Because we're in the fire service and stuff. We love to talk on them. People who say they don't love to talk on it, they're lying, because when they're kids, they used to love to get on the walkie-talkie and talking about it. So,
oh yeah,
we love to show them that there's a whole big world out there. It's not just what you see on TV and just big red shiny trucks, but there is the whole inner workings of that. So not only are we on the drill yard, having them get in gear and showing them how to pull hose and how a nozzle works, but we also drive home some core values too. So we love to teach them about teamwork and honor and tradition and pride. The things that you and I talk about, things that when we go to all these conferences that they talk about, we really drive that home with them, that they hate. It's not just you, it's all of us, and we all make this work. So for us is to be on the staff as the Explorer Academy, it's teamwork. One person can't do it. And so we really drive that home with them as well. Like, this wasn't just me, or this wasn't just him. This is all of us. You guys the same way. Someone has to drive that fire truck, and that operator can't just pull a hose line by himself, go in the building and attack the fire. Like, we need all of you to do it together. Communications is key. You can't be screaming on the radio. You got to be able to talk calmly to the next person, and then they carry that message for you, or back and forth, or if someone needs help, someone's fallen, you're going to pick them up. If they're having a bad day, you're going to see that. And we want you to acknowledge that and see that we got to be here for each other, not in the fire grounds, but also off the fire ground. So we really try to do team building experiences and workshops with them, whether it's just having some arts and crafts, or just literally just having downtime where they can get to know each other and talk and relax. We do workouts with each other. So every morning at 6 a.m., we wake them up, we do PT, and they work out together. And then we do a lot of marching. So they have to work together as marching, again, to build that team, to build that communication. And they eat together. They do everything we can possibly do for a 1 week of just cramming all this fun stuff in there. But we really want to make sure they understand the core values of what we hold dear, and that you can see the people who really understand those core values as adults who are bringing this forth to the kids, and they eat it up, they gobble it up.
I'm really glad you brought that point up, because the entire time you were talking, that's what was in my head, is like how fortunate those kids are to have people like yourself in the positions that you're in, to be able to expose them to what the fire service actually is and what it should be, right? And they're getting exposed to like you said, the traditions and everything, the way that we operate, like on the fire ground, in the firehouse, right? the whole teamwork aspect, watching out for each other, like how important that is for them to get exposed to that at such a young age. I mean, I know they're teenagers and we're talking about 14 and 18-year-olds, and like that's still pretty young, but they're getting exposed to that so early. So that way, when they do get hired on somewhere, they can be a part of establishing and continuing on that culture that they have, at that fire department that they go to. I think that's huge because when I got into the fire service, I had this idea, right? But I don't think anyone ever like really laid it out. Like I had an idea of what traditions were and, all the things that we cherish in the fire service and that I know now, but I did not know that when I first started. So I think that's big, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, a big thing for us. Because you can stand up there and you can bark orders at these kids all day long, and they're not going to get it. It's just like you said, in the firehouse. If I have an officer just barks orders at me all day long and doesn't appreciate my values or doesn't appreciate the service, doesn't appreciate tradition, it doesn't appreciate the culture, your crew's going to do what they need to do, but they're not going to really work hard for you. And they're not going to take that to their future generations of whoever else joins the department. They're just going to have pissed off firefighters who go, don't talk to that officer because he's a prick. It'll be the same thing as if I have an instructor on the drill yard with these kids. They go, well, I really didn't, I learned this, but I didn't have fun. Or the firehouse is supposed to be fun. Drill yard's supposed to be fun. That's, that's where we want to grow. And the same thing in the firehouse. These kids are going to be our future firefighters. That's the biggest thing. And we really try to drive that home to them and to everybody else that comes in, whether it's adult instructors or even people on the outside. We're hoping these kids are going to be those future. There's 55 potential firefighters, if you think about that. 55 potential first responders that are going to be going into the field, hopefully. So we need to teach them now. We need to teach them to be passionate and driven and there for everyone else, there for their brothers and sisters. We don't want to teach them this at 25 years old, at 30 years old, because you start setting your ways, and then it's harder to learn those values. Let's teach them now. These parents are doing great jobs with their kids, so especially with social media, we take all their stuff away, not by force, obviously, but when they come in, there's no cell phones, there's no links to the outside world, because we want them to focus on teamwork, the environment. We want them to absorb as much as they can in that fire first responder culture. And it's the same thing in the firehouse. We were always glued to our phones. We're sitting at the coffee table, or we're sitting in the even sometimes we want bumper time, right? Guys are still on their phones just checking what's going on. But we miss that culture. And if we can give it to them 14, 15, 16, keep going up with that. And these kids keep coming back from 14 up to 18. Every year they come back. That says something. Like they got it. They get it. They understand that there's this passion that we have. And again, kids are wicked smart. So if you're passionate about what you're doing and you keep bringing that down to them, they're going to have that passion. And they're going to say, man, next year, I'm going to even go harder next year. Or man, that instructor, man, he was so cool, or she was so cool. I love the history they just told me, because, we talk about history, talk about tradition. So we spit that knowledge of history, like, hey, this is where the Halligan came from. It might not be super important history, but it's still history. It's still tradition. And not everybody knows where the Halligan came from. So someone can talk about that knowledge. That might just be that one little piece that kid got, and he brings it back to his Explorer post, and he continues to bring it back and then looks it up and wants to know about the Halligan and wants to know about Hugh Halligan, and then keeps talking about it and learning, and boom, you just created another culture with this kid. 55 plus new cultures and passion that we could bring into the service is so amazing. That's the things that I think about as I keep planning for this, and all the other people we have working on this program. We're constantly coming up with the new ideas, and that's why we keep doing it, because we know we have 55 potential probationary firefighters coming in with the values that we talk about, that we write on the board, that we put on our Facebook pages, that they're going to come in walking through that door, hopefully, and go, yeah, tell me about your culture. And they're going to say to them, how do you know about culture? Well, I learned at the Explorer Academy.
Man, that's such an exciting thing. And then, like, I love the fact that you guys do that for the kids, because I was sitting here thinking, just like, I have a nephew that's 20, and like he went to the fire academy here in Texas, and he even went to like I think he went to like more of an online portion of it. Like now they're doing it, right? Like they do most of their coursework online and then they show up for skills. And like, it's so hard to explain to people what you guys are getting to show people, right? Even my nephew that's 20, right? And so I'm having to like tell him these bits and pieces, and he's not going to quite get it until he experiences it. And I know that, but trying to at least somehow be literate enough to explain these things to him and show him, really the right way. Not saying that he learned the wrong way, but just show him what it's really about. And
You nailed it
so,
right there, man. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you just nailed it. I was going to lose my train of thought. You just nailed it. That a lot of these programs, the Fire 1 and Fire 2 programs, they're all going online platforms, right? So not teaching in the classroom anymore. They only come into the academy. Sometimes they don't have to go to the academy. The instructor comes to them. So they miss that whole big world of working together in a group and stretching hose lines and pulling ceilings or car fire props, all these team building experiences. They don't get it, right? Because they've learned it all here on this little screen in front of us. And they don't get to immerse themselves in that whole culture of teamwork and brotherhood and sisterhood. And you nailed it, man. Like you have a 20-year-old, relative who is not going to get really that experience that we got. I was fortunate enough, obviously, to go through many moons ago to where you didn't have an online platform. But now, because they want to make it easier for everybody, and I'm not crapping all over it, but we were removing that human part of it because now it's all online.
Yeah, and even when I went through Fire Academy, I think I went through probably 10 years ago now, and I went 5 days a week, and the academies here in Texas, like they're nothing. I wouldn't say they're not bad, but they're nothing great, right? Like I didn't learn just like a whole bunch of really good stuff the way we do it, in the field now is what I'm trying to say. But I did learn some like valuable principles throughout the academy, right? Being with the same group of people 5 days a week for essentially, 4 or 5 months, right? And we worked out together and we trained together. Like you do learn those principles when you're together in person. And like I said, I'm blown away just because, I know like some of the larger departments but I don't know how extensive their Explorer program is, right? Like I don't know anything about it. And so listening to you talk about it, like, man, it's so important to grab a hold of our youth while they're young and get them exposed to this stuff. And like I know, like even here in the town that I live in, the high school, they do like the Fire Academy now in high school. So, and I still feel like that's not even the best experience that you could get, just because they might be doing it daily, but they're getting it for only a few hours, a day, rather than all the time. And they're still doing all the things that high school kids do. And with this academy type thing, like they're getting a full week of the fire service. And then like, not to mention like, and I know that you wanted to hit on it, but just like something I thought was super cool is these kids are getting exposed, especially to some of like the best instructors around and some of like the best speakers around. I know you have two guys lined up that are coming up to New Hampshire that I think they're phenomenal human beings, Jeremy Donch and Raymond Dorval. And, Jeremy has been phenomenal for me. Sorry, I forgot to put my phone on silent, but Jeremy's been awesome. I got to meet him and go on a show and meet him down here in Texas when he came to Joey D days. And that dude, he's as good as gold. And then, I got to meet Raymond down at Dagum this last year. And, if you haven't seen his videos or everything, these kids are getting like some top notch exposure to the fire service. And I think that's super important. And I know that's something that you already mentioned that you want to keep bringing back. I didn't know if you wanted to hit on like those guys at all.
Segued into that because those two guys, you just nailed it. Like they're awesome, right? Salt of the earth, really down to earth. Last year we had John Salka for the kids. They knew of him, and when he came in, he was so cool with those kids. I mean, you have like just like honestly a living legend like Salka coming in and talking with them, and they had so many questions about FDNY and what they do and what they use, and they, he was on some TV programs. They asked about that, and they just engaged with him, and he really immersed in that. And then part of the day, how I actually got into wanting to first was Raymond was the kids it was like a little rough day. They were kind of not having that energy and that drive. It was hot, man. It was, it's the end of June. It does get hot up in New Hampshire, believe it or not. And
Yeah.
so it's like 90 plus degrees and 100% humidity, almost like Florida hot. So uh, we were in the auditorium, and I followed Raymond for a long time, and his For Them video is just always gives me chills. It's one thing that I listen to if I need motivation myself, and I was listening to that before I was doing the Explorer Academy, and when I was feeling down or if I needed that kick in the butt, I'd listen to that video or watch that video. And so I thought it'd be a good time to talk to the kids about passion, and because a lot of them were feeling like they couldn't physically do it. They felt physically beat. They felt physically down. Like they just felt like they were struggling, and some said that I can't do it because of this, because of that. And there are some physical limitations, but we also teach them how to push past some of those. And so I wanted to drive home that you can physically do this. It's a mindset. You gotta push yourself. It might hurt a little bit, but we're not going to do things that we haven't done yet, and we're not going to hurt you, and we're going to make sure you're safe. So I played that video for them, and they was just silence, crickets. You were just chirping, not because of a bad thing, but because they were in awe of what he said and how he said it, and they can feel his passion through that video. And I'm like, I got to get this guy to come up here and talk to these kids and work with these kids, because the way they just absorbed that video and that energy just came right into them. And the next day, boom, they were driven. They were going hard. They just didn't want to stop. And I honestly feel it's because they got that motivation from watching that quick video, but those words were ringing true, right? And your physical limitations will not define you. You got to keep driving. And I think that hit them the next day, where I'm not going to be limited to whatever my body is saying. I can do this. And I want them to see him in person and to feel the energy that we feel when we're next to him. So he's going to come in, and he's excited, man. He is pumped. And I can't be more excited to have him and to see New Hampshire, to see our training grounds, and to see these kids. So where he's going to do the PT with us. He's really about that. He's like, oh man, I want to get in there. I want to do some exercises with them. I want to do some running. I want to do a cadence with them. I was like, bro, they love cadence. That's all we did last year. Was everyone came up with a cadence, and we taught him a lot about marching, and he wants to do all of that. So he gets to work with these kids. He's like, just use me where you want to use me. So we're gonna put him to work. The kids are just gonna be blown away by his positive energy, and I couldn't be more excited to have him there. He's going to also be kind enough to give back to the adults, because obviously it's volunteer, so we don't get paid for any of this. I take my personal time off to spend the week up there, as everybody else does. So as a way to give back, I asked Raymond if he'd be willing to teach a small portion of his RIT program to the adults in the evening. So we're going to have a little adult time. He's going to teach his RIT stuff. We're going to get all geared up and have a great couple hours of doing some adult RIT training to give back to the guys and girls who donated so much of their valuable time away from their families. And that way they can experience Raymond in a more private atmosphere as well. So really excited to have him do that. And the thing is, man, he didn't even charge us either. I don't know. He probably doesn't want anyone to know that, but it's just how humble he is. When I asked him, I said, how much, because we raise money. Everything's nonprofit for us. I forgot to mention that too. So this whole program is nonprofit. We survive solely on funds from people donating. So we've had some great generous donators that come forward and help make this program survive. And we usually have funds set aside for keynote speakers or guest instructors. So I asked Raymond, what do you charge? What's your speaking fee? And he's like, I'm teaching kids, right? I said, yeah, I'm not going to charge you to speak to kids, to work with kids. Just if you can cover some other travel costs. I'm like, man, don't say anymore. I got you. So he's going to come up, and he's doing this for the kindness of his heart for free of charge, which is just says so much about him. And then we reached out to Jeremy. Jeremy actually did a segment with us last year for the Explorers, and he was kind enough to do this with us on National Fire Radio. And he was so awesome to talk to. And he also told us he has a daughter that's going into this whole service as well, or is in it. And he wants to show her what we do. And so he's going to bring her up, and he's going to spend a day with us to see what we have going on, to talk to the kids about what we just talked about, passion and doing hard work and keep going and keep working. So Jeremy has been super humble, again, doing this free of charge. He's just like, yeah, I'll spread the message. I'll spread the good news. So he's going to come up, and you have two people that just love this service, who love to spread the gospel, that love to immerse themselves in it. And I couldn't be more excited to have both of them up here. And this is something to build on. This is something new that we've done this year, of just having guest instructors. And it's so cool to have them willing to come up to small New Hampshire and check us out and really see this program succeed. And next year, I'd love to have different people.
I think that is awesome, especially with the people that you have, like, just continuously coming. Okay, technical difficulties, but we're back at it. So, yeah, we were talking about Jeremy and coming out to the Explorer Academy and Raymond and those two guys, and bringing what they offered to the fire service, which is both of those guys, like we just talked about, man. Raymond with his passion and what he's doing, and I don't know, I've never felt more fired up after listening to him talk at first. It's just like, man, what a phenomenal speaker. It's really an art form what he does, and the ability to get people to just feel like what we should feel when we approach the job. And then Jeremy, right? Like, that dude, he talks so well. He's like such a natural conversationalist. I mean, he's built for what he does and what he's been doing at National Fire Radio, which is phenomenal. I think that's awesome.
He's great. He's such a platform he's built that, like you say, he can keep talking for days about anything and everything. And he has, it's the same thing. Like, when he talks, he's so passionate about it. And that's what his questions that he has, and the answers that he can bring out of people is so cool. Like, that's why I can't wait for the kids to meet him. And I thought it was also really important to try to bring people in that the kids know, right? Like, I want to make it fresh, and I don't want to, I mean, tradition's important, and legacy is important, but also to bring in people that the kids see now, because social media is out there. It's up in their face all the time. And if I bring in stuff that I knew when I was a kid, they're not going to know it, and they might not appreciate it as much as I do. So I want to bring in people that hopefully they see some of the pages that we look at. And I mean, like, again, Jeremy's out there. He's in everyone's face, which is a good thing. And he brings really good stuff to everybody. And I know these kids, they see it and they experience it. And to have him in person is I know it's going to blow their minds. And like last year, we had Jason Preston, the Firehouse Coffee guy.
Okay, yeah.
So we had him do some videos to welcome the kids into the academy for the first day, and the kids loved it. And he's another person I would love to get to have come up in person. Again, all kids know who he is.
Right.
And Firefighter Fenton, right? They all know everyone knows who those guys are. And I think it would be so cool to have them up there, because it's fresh, it's new. They see them all the time. The guys are funny, but they're also wicked smart. They're also very passionate. And that's what I want to bring to the table is I want the guys who got sense of humor that can get down to the kids level and make them have fun, because it is kind of scary for these kids to go into a brand new world for a week of not knowing anyone. They only know their little circle at their Explorer post, and they come to the New Hampshire Fire Academy. Not only do you have 50 other kids that they don't know, but you've got 50 other adults that they are going to be intimidated by because they see them as instructors, they see them as authoritative figures. So I think it's important to be able to let them know, like, hey, we're going to have fun. This isn't a classroom. This is fun. We're going to do some cool stuff. And you get to come home and tell all your other friends, I got to do things you'll never do.
Yeah.
And I'll inspire those kids and maybe go, hey, I might want to do that. So having people like Jeremy Donch and Raymond Dorville come down, or say come up and teach them that and show them how much fun it is. It's something that they're going to carry on for a very, very long time.
Well, that, and I was sitting here thinking about it, and as much as like a lot of people don't want to talk about it, like these kids in nowadays in the technology we have, like they learn differently. And so really bringing up people that have engaging content on social media, right? Like some of the videos that Raymond has, all the shorts that Jeremy has, with throughout his episodes and stuff like that. Like those kids are going to continue to follow them and get to see what they're doing on social medias, if that's what they do. And so that part's also super important too, because now they're leaving and they're continuously getting exposed to those guys and still, getting fed some really good information.
Yep, 100%, man. And actually, segue into some fire conference stuff is I've actually taken away some stuff from going to Dadgum conference, and I'm bringing it up to this year's Explorer Academy to make it fun for the kids.
Right.
Kevin made it so much fun at the Dadgum conference, and that's one thing I still remember now is having fun and meeting. So it felt like I made me feel like kind of like a kid actually going to the Dadgum conference, because I was surrounded by so many firefighters that I didn't know, and I'm spending a week doing fire related stuff that some of these things are going to be new to me and kind of scary, and I'm out of my element. I'm away from home. So I had myself in that mind thought, I think it was probably like maybe midweek. And I thought to myself, this must be what the kids feel like. Like, same thing. I'm away from home. I can only wear a certain amount of clothes. And the comfort from everything. The drill yard, you're really off your phone and you're concentrating at the task at hand, but you're making friends. And some of those instructors can be intimidating at first, when especially for us, like, again, social media is in our face and you're meeting people like Kevin Pfluger and Tom Hollick, and Raymond Dorville and Basil. I mean, the Basil's like wicked intimidating, right? So like Basil's really intimidating at times, but once you get to know them and talk with them, like, oh man, they're really cool, and this was really fun. So one of the elements that I brought, actually two elements that I brought from that to make it fun for the kids, we're going to do a competition, forcible entry competition. That's what they did at Dadgum conference, and it was so fun to watch and to see that competitive spirit that guys are doing, even after they had a hard day of doing stuff. The gear up for time, force that door, run in there, do a search all on air and bring the victim back. Like, that's super cool. So I thought it'd be fun to do that with the kids, and the adults get to do it as well. So we get to see both sides, see what the kids learn, see how quick they can do it, and see if they can beat the adults.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do some other competitions for the kids as well to make that spirit, keep that spirit up, right? And make them have fun, so they can take the skills that we taught them and then put it in that fun learning experience. And even some of the operational side of things I took from Kevin, and how he ran the Dadgum conference was he had a clock. We only there's so many people and so many stations we want everyone to get through. He was doing that, where he had a command center, he had a stopwatch. They would say, okay, your hour starts now, and then your skill station starts. The instructors only have that hour. Keep rotating those people through. Okay, your hour's up, switch stations. We didn't do that last year, so we all love to talk, right? If I'm talking about hoses, I'm gonna talk for hours unless you stop me. So we can keep them on track doing that way. It's something real small and simple, but I didn't think about it until I went to the conference and went, oh man, that makes sense. So we discussed it when we were planning for the Explorer Academy. Go, hey, let's set up a command post. let's have the command post center so everyone can see it, so the kids can see it, and the kids will all get radios, and then they can check in with command. Battalion A or Company A is off at Forcible Entry Station. Okay, great. Received. Do you have PAR? So every station, they're going to have PAR. Every station, they're going to check in. And then also we have that clock going, so the command can let the instructors know, hey, you're reaching that hour mark or that 45-minute mark. You're gonna have to wrap it up. So I learned so much from just that week, not only from skills, but how to run those conferences or how to run our academy, to bring something down from Texas up to New Hampshire, and it's universal.
Yeah, and I like to ask. I want to ask you this because I have a pretty idea. I only got to stay for the lecture, but I stayed for a little bit of the next day before I had to drive back home. What was your biggest takeaway personally? Not even half of necessarily what you brought back, but what was your biggest takeaway from that conference?
The biggest takeaway was the way they made you feel at home. I think that was myself and a friend of mine, Brian Rondu. He's from Pocasset. We're on separate departments, but we traveled together, and I think both of us felt the same way. It was a welcoming community. We felt like we were family, and I think that was my biggest takeaways. I walked away with new friends, a crap load of friends. Not even the guys running the conference, but all the guys we were working with on the drill yard, getting sweaty with. It's the fact that everybody was in such good moods, and everyone, after like the third day, everyone was like we knew everyone's names, and that whole welcoming environment. The biggest thing that was my biggest takeaway was family.
Sorry, I was just saying, like that's what I would say for me. It was like the hospitality, right?
Hospitality,
like,
bro. Yep.
Like walking, and I I don't want to misspeak and say he was there for everybody, but I remember showing up for the lecture day and Pfluger standing at the front door giving everybody hugs that walk through the front door, right? Like,
yeah, brother.
I've been to several classes, and that was like top notch for me. Like just the environment that they provide, and like you said, you just felt like everyone was super nice. There was no one, no egos. They were all left at the door. Like, man, it was so awesome to see and just be around. And I told Pfluger on the way out, if I go to one conference next year, like, it'll be Dago.
I was so blown away by the hospitality, man. The fact that Tom opened up his home to everyone, as a meet and greet, that says something. He opened up his home to 60 plus, almost 100 strangers, of friends and family, to come in and come to my house, drink my beer, eat my food, and just have a good time. I mean, he had a live band. I was blown away. And again, I felt when I first came in, I'm like, I don't know what to expect. I only had talked to Pfluger for online about what do I need for the conference. What gear do I have to get, and or bring all this other stuff, the specifics of it. But when I got there, he was so hospitable. Tom was hospitable. Mike Lugo was so patient, and he was super warm. Like, teaching, that's what I try to bring back. Skill, like when I teach, I'm always that person where I just want to be calm, cool, collective. I don't need to bark orders at you. I don't need to scream at you. And at the DAGUM conference, they all know that everyone there is adults. They all know that they all have certain skill levels there. We don't have to treat you like your children. We don't have to yell at you unless obviously you're doing something incredibly stupid. But I was having a hard time throwing ladders, and I was using the technique that Lugo was trying to show us. And I was struggling with it. Me being vertically challenged, it's pretty tough at times throwing ladders. And I didn't give up either. So I kept throwing it. But Lugo, like, he never got frustrated, and he never said, just forget it. We'll move on to a different station. He's like, yeah, man, keep going with it. And he worked with me. And I, little by little, it kept happening. It was I was building the skill level. I was getting the reps in, and Raymond was standing right there. He's like, yeah, man, you're getting it. Keep going. Don't stop. And they kept encouraging me, and I walked away with a new skill I must have thrown those ladders like, man, I felt like 20 times, just kept going, trying to get it over and over again to perfect it. And I was getting frustrated with myself, and they could see the frustration level, but they never got frustrated with me. And they treated me with respect. Everyone there treated everyone with respect. Again, it was kind of intimidating at first because you do have some heavy hitters, but they didn't act like it. And yeah, I forgot about Ramirez. Like Rob Ramirez was fucking. Oops, I don't know if I can swear or not, but
you can cuss.
He like I took a lot away from him as well. Like Ramirez, dude, like his passion is up there. And again, this dude travels the world. Pfluger travels the world. All of them, right? And they just, when you're there and you're talking with them, they treat you with such respect, and like they're on the same level. We're all wearing the same gear. We're all doing the same job. And all of that stuff that I got from that conference, that's what I want to give to these kids, is that we're all doing the same thing. You can hoard all that knowledge, you can hoard all that experience. It doesn't do anything for anyone. If we're here to help people, and if I hoard all that, I'm not helping anyone. I want to help these kids so they can help other people. So if I can give them that experience to make them feel like family, to be hospitable, to not be frustrated with them. And in that way, when they get older and they teach people, hopefully they'll remember people like us and go, yeah, man, that guy Goldstein, he was super patient with me. I could not force that door, but we kept working with it together, and he showed me these cool skills to do it. That's what I want kids to walk away with. And from when they're 25 years old in the fire service, I hope they remember that experience of maybe that one situation where they struggled with, but then they remembered it, and they can give that knowledge and that training to someone younger than them. And I still think about Daggum Conference every day because it really was almost like a religious experience for me. I was fortunate enough to actually, my department is very, very pro education. And they love the fact that I love to go to conferences. And they had me speak in front of my battalion about my experience at the Daggum Conference. And I showed them some pictures that I had, talked about the experience level, and I promoted the hell of it because it was such a energizing moment for me that whole week. And again, my friend Brian, we that's all we could talk about. From in the hotel room, we're comparing notes about what we did, making sure we got our notes right, and then the flight back up, that's all we could talk about, is bringing this whole experience back up to the North Country, and want people to understand that the dudes in Texas are doing it right, the dudes in Florida are doing it right, the dudes in Georgia are doing it right. The fact that they all got together for that conference to bring all different skill levels, and the bottom line was family. Yeah. Throughout the whole thing was, as Kevin Pfluger said it, he said it all the time, right? We're all family. And he really made sure that everyone felt like family. And the fact that he also had, when I turned around, I saw kids and wives on the drill yard. I was like, this is cool. This just eased everyone's stress levels. The fact that the wives are seeing what we do, the kids get to enjoy seeing what dad or mom's doing, and it just, that really, I think, drove it home about this is family, because when it all comes down to it, that's what we need. We need our family. And if they understand what we're doing and how we do it, then we can come home, whether we talk about it or don't talk about it, at least they saw some of those things that we do, and they can have a better connection with us.
Dude, that's, I could go down the line and like, you got the whole weekend experience and I didn't. And I still feel the exact same way. And, I had Rob on the podcast, Rob Ramirez on the podcast, and meeting him in person was awesome. And listening to him talk, that was the first time I caught his class. And I walked away, like, that is one of the most dynamic instructors that I've ever met before. Like the way that he engages with the class, and the way he teaches, and like, he just has such a natural gift to it, and I asked him, I was like, how many times have you given that class? And like, I figured it would probably be up in the hundreds, and it really wasn't, right? Like that form of that class, I guess. And like, just his ability to relay the information that he has is so good. And all those other guys that talked, like, man, they all did such a phenomenal job. And like you said, the family aspect of it, dude, like I felt that the whole time I was there. And the fact that you guys are taking that, like what you grabbed from here, and this is more or less the point that I want to try to make, is like, whenever you're in a position like yourself, to be able to relay some information to masses, especially to the youth, right? And you're picking up things from these conferences and classes that you go to, and it doesn't just have to be dadgum. Dadgum's a great one to try to emulate, right? Like we're both trying to talk about here, but like it is a great one to emulate. But all of these classes, you could take little tidbits of information from each one of them, and the way they run things, not just information presented, but how they present them as well, is so important. And you said it yourself, like hopefully, now that have experienced like the patience that Lugo showed you and with the ladders, giving that to another kid, really. And now they're not some other captain on a fire department, in 15 years, 20 years, just barking and being frustrated. They remember how you made them feel because of the way that they made you feel down here in Texas. And I think that's huge, dude. I think that's huge. That's awesome. I was blown away by their conference, dude. And like I said, if I do go to another conference, it'll be that one next year. But they do such a great job, such a good job, man.
They really, really do. I was, again, just from all the skill stations, the way they explain them, the instructors, they all just really had a great grasp of what they're talking about, but how to deliver it. And I've been to a couple conferences, and this one definitely was by far and away the best. Like as we were talking earlier, I went to the County Fire Tactics Officer Development Program a few years ago, and that was something I came away with re-energized and open-minded. The speakers there were just phenomenal. Like again, Scott Thompson and John Norman, and just to name a few. Like the message they drove home was top notch about what they had to give, and they didn't hoard that information, and they didn't hoard their passion or their emotions either. There were some times where towards the end, they got emotional. They're speaking room packed full of firefighters, like hundreds of firefighters. And these dudes are getting emotional, and they probably delivered the same lecture, hundreds of times, but they still have that passion and that emotion. And the fact that they're not afraid to show that is amazing. Even after all those years in a room full of all those guys and girls, that they still have that drive in them. They still have that emotion. So the Officer Development Program from County Fire Tactics, I took a lot away from that. Not just the knowledge that they spilled, but the emotion and the time that they took actually to guys want to sit down and talk with them over a beer. They're open to that. Hey, come on. Yeah, I'll be at this table at this time. Do you want to talk? Let's talk. And I thought that was really something to bring home. And again, I do bring that back to, or we bring that back to the Explorer Academy, where when they're sitting down for lunch, because meals are provided, so it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a week. They get meals provided, and we make sure that whoever's staying or whoever's instructors, they're sitting down and having meals, so they're doing it with the kids. So we're not making them sit in the instructor table, and kids have to come up to them. Like that's old school thinking, right? Like, okay, here's the cadre of instructors, and now you have to stand in line, and hopefully you get to have their moments of 5 minutes that you can talk with them, and maybe they'll give you something a little extra. No, we want the instructors to spread themselves out, go in the cafeteria, and pick random tables throughout the week, and sit down with different kids, and just talk with them. It doesn't have to be, it could be, what do you do in your spare time? What is your favorite hobby? Let's just engage with them, because again, that's how you get that human connection. And if you sit in the corner and it's just all the instructors just talking about whatever, these kids aren't going to get that family, that hospitability. I can't talk. Hospitable feeling of what we're trying to bring home to them. And that's, again, what I took from Dadgum was, and from Water on, keep saying Water on Fire because I'm going that, but the County Fire Tactics, that they do the same thing. They want to make sure that everyone knows that they're family. Kurt does a great job with, hey, bring your wives, bring your kids. We want them to understand what you guys are doing. And I think that's so cool that we can have that, because not every conference has kids or wives there or brings that home. So I love that I can take these little bits of experiences and bring that and give it to the Explorer Academy. And the fact that we have so many people that have traveled around that come into the Explorer Academy that could bring all their skill sets and their knowledge. We make sure we're bringing people that really do understand that they can, how to deliver that message to kids. It's different than talking to adults. You got to be able to work with kids.
Yeah.
Because their attention span is like that, and if you
Yeah.
can't engage them, they're going to wander off.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Mike, dude, I think, like, as we're creeping up on a closing here, like, I think that what's important for me is that I think you could tell your passion's in the right place, and the fact that you're getting to pour into the kids and really show them the way that the fire service is, right? And I think that we need more people like yourself in those types of positions, because I could just tell talking to you, like, how passionate you are, and like the fact that you're out and engaging. And it would be easy, like, for someone even in the position of like at a fire academy to not go to these conferences, right, and bring it back. You're doing it with an Explorer program, which is with, younger kids, right? And I think that's super important. And I hope that people that listen to this episode, they don't sit here and just think that we're talking about the Explorer program. Because while we are, dude, like, I took so much away from what you had to say about
I'm glad you did.
bringing it back to other things, not just like, that's what I mean by saying, like, not just the Explorer Academy. Like, go grab this stuff and bring it back to your firehouse. And honestly, like, you could take so much stuff and bring it back to like your family at home and stuff like that, man. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about this stuff. One of the things that I wanted to make sure, you obviously have some experience doing it. So if anyone wanted any information on maybe how to get a hold of you, if they want information about maybe even starting their own Explorer program, whatever the case may be, how would people get a hold of you?
Let's see. What do I do with my phone? Can't even find my phone. You could just Google the New Hampshire Fire Explorer Academy website. It's such a long-winded name, I can't even remember it. We're also on Facebook as well. So again, just New Hampshire Fire Explorer Academy, and that'll come up. And then you can reach out to us on Messenger or email us. You can even just find me on Facebook too, and I'll tell you everything about it. Mike Goldstein. All my information's out there. I even put my number out there, 603-547-5170. That's my cell. You throw me a text, just let me know who you are, because there's a lot of spammers out there. So if I don't know what you are, I'm going to reply back with some stupid thing saying, stop texting me because I don't want your crap. But like you said, man, it's not just the Explorer Academy, but it's spreading that word, spreading that gospel. And my big message too, for especially the guys out there, for anything, is get out there, get to conferences, get outside your own environment, meet new people. The Explorer Academy is about networking. The adults are networking with other adults. And then same thing with going to conferences. I'm networking with other adults. The kids are networking with other kids. They don't even know they're networking. They don't really know what that word is, right? But the kids are networking with other kids. They're going to remember all these strangers that they met, and they're going to remember their names, and they're going to add them to their Snapchat and TikTok and whatever other social media they got. And then they're going to become friends for many, many, many years. Like you and I, we met like for 5 minutes eating Chinese food.
Yeah.
I was talking about your legs because they're sexy.
That's true.
So, and I just, I'm like, this guy's cool. I love your message. I love what you're bringing to the table. But that was a whole part of that conference, is we met new people. I tried new things, and I brought it back home, and I continuously talk about it. I talk to my guys about it. I'm always telling them about all these skills and tactics that I learned, but also the people that I met, all these cool things, the experiences that I did, whether it's dadgum, whether it's county fire tactics, whether it's we have Fools up here as well. New England Fools does a great job with bringing training and conferences. So all those things get you out of your comfort zone. So the biggest message I can tell anybody is get out your comfort zone, go to conferences. The Explorer Academy, for me, it's also a great way to get out of your comfort zone, because you're volunteering for something better than yourself, and you doing this just because you're providing a better service, and you're doing something that's going to be uncomfortable. You might dealing with kids, dealing with new people. There's a lot of things that I've learned about myself doing the Explorer Academy. It taught me patience. It taught me how to communicate better with people. Not just kids, but adults around me, because I have different people. I don't know who they are, and having to get my message and point across about what we need to do. it teaches you a lot about patience and a lot how to communicate with different people, because people when it's in full swing, when the conferences or the academy's in full swing, dude, there's so many people coming at you at all different corners of the realm, asking you what we need to do next. How do I do this? What do I do that? This kid needs this. This kid needs that. This is broken. I can't find this. Instructor Goldstein, I can't find my helmet.
Yeah.
It all comes together at once, and you have to really be patient, and you have to learn how to communicate with the kids and the other adults that are on the ground. So again, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having me and taking the time, especially so early in the morning. Again, my wife thought I had the time frame wrong when I told her 7 a.m. She's like, "Are you sure that's not his time? Because that seems wicked early." And I said, "Oh man, he's going to be up, so let's do it."
Yeah. Yep. I'm an early bird, so it doesn't matter to me. Mike, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was nice meeting you down at Dadgum. Hopefully we'll see you again down here next year, or maybe even upcoming here pretty soon. I've seen some comments on Facebook.
I'm hoping. I'm really am. See if I could swing it, man. That's going to be a great conference for a great cause, the Castilla Way, right? Like
Yep.
that's again family. I mean, crap. That they just put this whole conference together for a brother in need to get it done. I'm blown away by the fact that these guys are doing this for this guy. What a brotherhood, right? To bring that and to get it going for his family and for him. It touches your heart, right? So I hope that I can come up or down for that, because that it means so much to me to see all of them again, but also to give back and help his family out. So all my best to them, and I hope I can make it.
Man, once again, I gotta have to say it again. You're the right guy for the right job up there for those kids in the academy and the Explorer program, because we need people like you in those positions to be able to infect the kids the right way at such an early age. And I think it's super important what you're doing. I know that you're a bang up fireman. Like, you have a really nice mustache as well. I'm trying, dude. Mine's in an awkward stage.
It's yours is starting to come in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just taking the whole stance of just like letting it grow. So it's doing its own thing right now. So anyways, guys, be on the lookout, man. We just recorded our first episode with Firefighter Nation. Hopefully that'll be premiering sometimes at the beginning of June. We're really excited for it. We're looking forward to what we do there, as well as what we're going to continue doing here. Make sure you go over to the website, tailboardmisfits.com. Check out the merch. It's actually super nice quality. I didn't make it, so I feel like I could say that every time. Anyways, till next time, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.